All right, good afternoon, everyone. I will now call to order the July 29th, 2026 regular meeting of the City of South Pasadena Public Safety Commission. David, please call the roll.
Chair Ogwin,
Present.
Vice Chair Lu,
Present.
Commissioner G,
Present.
Commissioner Cervantes.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Wonderful, thank you. Are there any public comments this evening?
Yes, there is one in-person public comment from Jeremy Newman.
Thank you. Come on up.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Jeremy Newman. I am a disaster program manager with the local chapter of the American Red Cross. And our organization is attempting to do a partnership in October with the city of South Pasadena, put on one of our Sound the Alarm events, which if people are not familiar, what we do is it's part of a Homes Made Safer Against Fire campaign. So what we do is we install smoke alarms free of charge into communities that are deemed at risk from home fires. And then we also provide some home fire safety education. So we go over escape routes from people's homes. We also go over some home fire safety checklists, earthquake safety, and then just general stuff like what to do with your gas line if there's an earthquake or a fire, and just general safe preparedness. And we also install these 10-year battery-operated smoke alarms free of charge wherever they're needed in the home. So this is a program that's been going on nationally within the American Red Cross since 2014. I think to date, we've been able to calculate that there are approximately 22 or 2,300 lives saved due to this program. And so it's through our partnerships with our cities and other organizations that we put on these events because they end up being a really great ambassador of the program to help spread the word, get engagement within the community, encourage people to sign up for the service. Because this is all done through an appointment request, so that local residents request the service from us and we organize at a particular date to come in and do the installations with our volunteers. And we try to achieve maybe 30 to 40 to 50 appointments and visit all those homes in one single day. And then this is something that takes place all throughout the year, but we're trying to organize something in October in partnership with the local fire department. And I can answer any questions if anybody has questions. Otherwise, that's my time. All right.
Dr. G.
I've actually used your program and it is great.
Excellent.
So if you are planning this, how are you planning to market? And remind me if you have carbon monoxide services as well.
Yeah. So to the second one first, almost. So we're working with county to secure some of those alarms that are dual purpose, so they can do carbon dioxide and monoxide. Currently, we just have the smoke detectors, so just carbon dioxide, but hopefully we'll get the monoxide one soon. And then in terms of marketing, that's where our partnerships with local fire departments, other churches, nonprofits really comes in handy because we like to have some local buy-in from the community that knows the community better than we do. And they can help distribute the message. We have flyers that we put out. We try to put out a digital footprint as well. So we try to reach the newsletters as well as distribute the messaging just through, like it could be a door-to-door campaign, or we can be invited to speak at local events like senior centers and other community gatherings where we can try to deliver the message to a good body of people, and then we can sign people up for the service that day. And we're trying to organize this for October 24th. That's seeming like a good day for us as well as for the local fire department to host us.
Any other questions?
All right.
Hold on.
Do you need our commission to do anything in particular?
Really, the biggest value is helping disseminate the message. So we can, all the publication, all the materials that are for promotion can be produced by us. And then if you have any ability to send us like a logo that we can put onto the flyer with your approval or from the fire department or the city, because that helps us have a little bit of kind of buy-in so that we can disseminate the message that we're kind of sponsored by the local community. And then just spreading the message is the best thing, and encouraging people to sign up.
I have a question for you. You mentioned taking appointment requests and hoping to hit 30 to 50 appointments per day. How would one make an appointment?
Oh, on the flyer itself, there's multiple ways. It has a phone number. People can call in and just request a service for that particular day. There's also a website that it directs people to. And also on the flyers that we have, they have a QR code. People can just scan the QR code and it'll take them directly to the appointment request link. And then they just put in some very basic information like their name, phone number, and address, and then their language preference. And then they just submit it. And then we do a follow-up to confirm all those appointments a week or two before.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? No, appreciate your time and your important efforts. Thank you. Are there any other public comments?
No in-person public comments and none on Zoom.
Wonderful, thank you. Moving on to item number 2 then on this evening's agenda. Moving to presentations, item number 2 on this agenda is Division Chief Dan Dunn will be presenting South Pasadena Fire Department's 2026 Cardiac Readiness Update. Chief.
Good evening, Commissioners, and thank you for your time. So I've been with the city for 21 years now, and through that time, I've been on countless cardiac arrests in our city. And while we provide amazing care, there was always a missing piece to what we were providing to the community, and that was bystander CPR. So the average response time for us is right around 5 to 6 minutes. And the great thing about that is we get there quickly. The problem with that is that's when immediate or irreversible brain damage kicks in. So what we needed to do was look at that gap and how we can overcome that. So this program, Heart Safe Community, and what we're striving for is going to fill in that gap. So we'll go to the next slide. So right now we have a network of AEDs. Prior to establishing this 2 months ago, we had 7 AEDs that were labeled in this program, and it's a pulse point program where when there's a cardiac arrest that's called into our dispatch center, it sends out an alert to the immediate area. With that, it asks for trained and willing, responsible people to respond to a cardiac arrest. Just a couple days ago, Chief was sitting in his office, and he got an alert for one at Gus's. It happened to not be one, but our engine was already responding. So this program does work. And one of the critical components to this, and one that increases survivability, is access to public AEDs. And with this program, when you do have a cardiac arrest, it shows you where the closest AED is to that responder and how to access that. So when we started this a couple weeks ago, we only had 7 that were identified that were still in here. We're now at 31. And as you look at this map, it shows it kind of covers our whole city. It hits some critical pieces at schools. We have one at every single school, a couple of the medical facilities in town, almost all the gyms in town, and all city facilities. So when we're looking at this program, and what you're doing for this certification is you're going through a pathway and doing a self-assessment, looking at how your community responds, what resources we have there. So we looked at this, and we had a 340% increase just in 1 month of identifying where those AEDs were. So that was a great win for us. So next slide, please. And with this, like I mentioned, that component of having citizens that are willing and able to do CPR, one of the key components of reaching this certification is hitting 15% of the people in our city. So when you do the math, that's about 3,900 people. So when we started this 2 months ago, we've already trained 244 people in hands-only CPR and AED awareness. So when we're doing this, we're teaching them hands-only CPR. It only takes about 5 minutes or less, but we had a lot of people that were coming through. We looked at our programs where we were having a lot of people come in. We used the pancake breakfast on 4th of July. And then our paramedic coordinators also go into schools, the high school and middle school, and teaching students CPR. So our goal is to have every senior that leaves South Pasadena High School with the ability to give CPR. So moving forward, what we're doing is we're looking at certifying multiple members in our department. And our first critical piece that we want to hit is certifying all city staff. So we have approximately 100 city staff that we want to qualify and have, because that acts as an additional responder. We have people that are out. If they have this application and they have a cardiac arrest that's nearby, they can respond to that. They can also help the people that are inside City Hall. And then also looking for that citizen outreach. To hit 3,900 people is going to be a hard task, but I think through these large events that our city holds, we'll be able to do this, especially when it's only a couple minute commitment. So next slide. So part of this component is looking and doing a self-assessment of ourselves. So we have to look at where are a majority of our cardiac arrests at. Right now, they're at our skilled nursing facility. We have 2 of them in town, so that accounts for our highest volume of cardiac arrests. So what we want to do is go and work with them to improve their cardiac arrest skills, as well as helping us before we get there so we can just effortlessly take over and just ease that smooth transition of care. And then also looking at the community engagement. We want to get community support with this. Without that community support, we're just doing the same thing over and over, where we're responding to these calls and we're getting there at that critical time crunch. So if we can get people there that are willing and able to do it, that will help our community become a heart-safe community and apply that care to people. And then also looking at city-level interventions. One that was started when we were here that we've taken out is AEDs in all police cars. So once we get everyone certified and we can get a grant, we can put AEDs in all police cars, because police cars are usually out and patrolling areas. So they most of the time beat us to calls. So they could be in the calls within 1 to 2 minutes. So that's in that one time crunch where if they're applying care, applying early AED intervention, that increases their survivability in most cardiac cases. So next slide. So this is our objective roadmap. This is going to be a multi-year approach. And when we're looking at what we have to accomplish by this year, right now we've already logged the AEDs and we have a goal to log even more. And we're also looking at partnerships with volunteer organizations that hopefully they'll donate and spread the word and pay for people to get fully CPR and certified. With that, it takes about an 8-hour class via online and in-person skills. And then continue that hands-only CPR. We have 244 people trained, which is an excellent number in the last 2 months, but we have a long way to go. So we're going to continue to do that. And then we're also looking at our alignment meeting. Right now, we have to meet with all our city staff, our key people in our medical care. So that'd be the fire chief, myself, our public nurse, and our paramedic coordinator. And we're going to talk about it and look at ourselves and where we can improve and how we're going to get through this program. And then also looking at the citizen CPR component. Once we get those 3,900 people there, we'll have a bigger workforce. We have a bigger response area that will help provide that care to the community. And then the last one is we want to provide that certification for the full city staff by the end of the year. It's an ambitious goal, but if we do get all 3 shifts covered, I think we'll be able to accomplish that by the end of the year. And that's my end of my presentation. I'm willing to take any questions.
Yeah, thank you, Chief. Appreciate that. I was just checking the Pulse Point app, and I was able to figure out how to do the layers to show the AEDs. So that's awesome. They really do cover a wide range of the city. Does that include homes, individuals' personal homes?
People actually can put these in homes. And one of the interesting things is when I took the training is a doctor had one on the side of his house and he had it in a lockbox. And what it does is when Pulse Point, one of his neighbors had a cardiac arrest, and when Pulse Point went off, it gave a unique code that he was able to put in there. No one had access to, only that responder that was willing to go. So people can put these in their house, and they're a lot easier to obtain. Before, it was a harder process for a layperson to get an AED, but it is easier for people to get AEDs at this point.
Dr. G?
When you say that you've identified them, that you had identified from 7 to 31,
Yeah.
was that the actual number? Are you still working on figuring out where they are?
So we're still working to figure out where they are, because we don't really have a database of where these were. We took those original 7, and then we just started thinking collaboratively. I reached out to the schools, found that there were 10 at our schools, counting the school district as well. I talked to the local gyms, and then also I put out the word to our firefighters. They're doing daily business inspections. So as they see business inspections, I've asked them to alert me to any AEDs in the area. And when we do notify or locate those, what I do is I go down there in person, meet with the personnel, and then take a picture of it and add information for how to get access to the building and if they're willing to have that Pulse Point.
So I happen to know that they have one at Aniata Church,
Okay.
but you have to go take a look at it.
Yeah.
And I think they should be available at all churches such as Aniata, Renew, and Mosaic.
I appreciate that. I definitely will reach out to all the churches and see.
Yeah, and we had talked in the past about a GIS system, and our GIS is pretty rudimentary from what I remember. So is it possible to overlay this data onto our current GIS?
That I can't answer because I'm not a specialist in GIS. I'm very little knowledge when it comes to that. But with this app, I think it'd be a great asset to it. But this app is so robust and it's expanding to where if we're covering this and this alerts people, it'd be hard to duplicate that with just a GIS layer, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think if we had a GIS which included all of the data that we're looking for, not just where the AEDs are, but, other, locations where there are disaster relief supplies,
Okay.
it would be really nice to have that. So maybe it can be a discussion for another day. How many of on that chart that you have, second to the last page, the key strategic objectives, how many are you planning to have with CPR, with AED training versus BLS? Well, which one are you trying to?
So
when-
th-
yeah,
they
go
don't
ahead.
identify which people need to be. They only state hands, only CPR. So our first goal is to get our staff trained to become instructors and then work through city staff and then fill the request. Pretty frequently, we get the request and ask if we do CPR classes. We would probably give it to all CERT members and branch out from there. Due to staff limitations, I don't think we could have a robust program, but we could also lead them to, we do have a few places in town that teach CPR and have that AED certification at higher level.
So in regards to the objectives that are still in progress and ongoing, can later on offline, could you go over exactly what you're doing? Not just the target audience, but the exact processes and metrics. Well, I think we know the metrics, but the exact processes you're going to use for each of the, each of these objectives. So maybe we can go over that online because I have maybe access to scouts who are interested in doing projects.
Yeah, that would be great.
You good, Doc?
Yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Cervantes.
Yes, what I would suggest also is besides the churches, which are the places where we had the largest congregation of people at one time, I also was hoping maybe that supermarkets be included in that because that also has a large amount and perhaps it could be encouraged that some of the workers at the markets be what you call training AED as well as CPR. But I think due to the time constraint of that, we need to have at least one person to know what they are doing, as well as what you call us having the equipment available. I think the supermarkets have enough money to be able to provide for an AED at their supermarkets. And also, come to think of it, also restaurants, also that's places where there is a lot of people that congregate and at one time. And that would be a suggestion that I would have. But I think the whole idea is very commendable and is a step forward in the right direction.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I forgot to mention that in this process, this is probably a 4 to 5 year process. It's not something we're going to do overnight, but they do identify looking at all your places that have large number of people coming through day to day and reaching out with them and partnering with them and seeing if they are willing to put AEDs in their location. And one thing I learned through doing this is there is a large out-of-pocket cost, but now a lot of places are renting these AEDs and the average cost is about $30 to $40 a month. And with that, you have the maintenance covered, they install it. So it is an affordable option. And I think if we educate these groups and businesses on that, I think they're more willing to do that when they see it's not a large out-of-pocket cost.
Commissioner Liu?
We used to have a neighborhood watch program. I think you can go through that one. We have email network, ask the neighborhood head of each street send some representatives. So you have very even spread all those trainees.
That would be helpful, especially if we could. I mean, that would be great if we could cover every street in the city. That would cut down our response time if people were willing to do it. And I think we are definitely willing to go out there and do that as long as these people are reaching out to us. It's hard to identify, but if we do partner with those programs, I think it's something we can do.
Thank you.
Dr. G?
Speaking of finances, do we have anything in the city? I don't see our city rep here, but do we have any funding in our city to contribute to purchase of AEDs, also maintenance, batteries, things like that?
So our city does purchase, and there's actually one right in that corner. So we have one at every city building now for the city to purchase them for other outside agencies. We haven't looked into that, but that's something I can ask them. Yep. Thank you.
Anything else? No? Chief, just one thing from me. I'm looking at this overlay here. There's 4 in this building, and there's only 1 in the entire Monterey Hills area.
Yeah.
I know that's a almost exclusively residential area, but just trying to think of where, because I happen to live in that area, where I would go. I'd either go to Monterey Hills, the school, or come down the hill and go to the high school. And I know we mentioned time being critical, so it, just a plug to, I don't know how we do that because it's so heavily residential, but trying to get some in that area would be important, particularly with the issues that we've all discussed of access to that area, particularly in times of emergency. Just to plug something to think about, trying to get some more resources in that area.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chief. And I don't think you've been in front of us since you've had your new position. So congratulations on the promotion. Thank you for being with us. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
For your time. Have a great night.
Thank you. David, did we have a public comment on that item?
No, it's on a different item, item
Yep.
number 5. Yeah.
Different item. Okay, let's roll along then. Moving to item number 3 on tonight's agenda, Police Chief Derek Elmore will provide the South Pasadena Police Department's recruitment update. Chief.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for coming at this new time and location, new place. The police recruitment so far, we have 3 police openings that are still active right now. We have 4 candidates right now that are either in background or getting ready to go into background to fill those 3 open spots that we do have. As we look at the crime analyst position, that position has been offered, and that person has just completed background. It just landed on my desk minutes before I walked in here, so I haven't had a chance to look at it yet to give you an update. But if everything looks good on that background, hopefully our crime analyst should be hired within the next 2 to 3 weeks. We have an open recruitment right now for a police captain position. As I look to restructure and reorganize the department, we no longer have the deputy chief. It'll be 2 captains, and then the sergeants from that point going forward. We have 5 candidates that we're looking to interview and hopefully get that done within the next couple of weeks. And we also have a detective that we have selected for our mental health program to work in conjunction with our mental health clinician who's here 3 to 4 days a week. So it'll be a permanent position so that they can ride along with that clinician on a daily basis. Our crime analysts, once they get on board, we're looking to, as you guys were talking earlier about the neighborhood watch, we're looking to get that program back going up and running and being more active going forward here in August and October. Whether the crime analyst is here or not, I'll probably meet with all the neighborhood associations in August so that we can get that program back up and running and as strong as I think it used to be here before. So that's the thing on recruitment. Are there any questions?
Commissioner Cervantes.
Yes. How many people, you're talking about different people you're interviewing and whatever, how many people would that put you through with being full complement for the force, for the police force, or would you still be short of people?
If we're able to complete the 3 openings, then that would put us at a full complement of police at that point.
Dr. G?
So just to review, your 3 right now are the detective, the mental health, and what was the third?
So no, that's not it. So those are separate things. So the police recruitment, we have 4 different candidates that are either in background or getting ready to go into background for that. That is one thing. That's separate.
To be a regular police officer.
Maybe a regular police officer wearing the uniform, patrolling the streets. They'd have to go through training phase and whatnot and hopefully complete that. We then have a crime analyst, which we have selected and is already through the background. That packet landed on my desk just minutes before I walked into here. Hopefully that person will be hired and in place within the next 2 to 3 weeks, 4 weeks to be safe. And then we have a captain's position, which we have basically taken our deputy chief and lieutenant spot and kind of combined that to now we're going to have 2 captains as opposed to a deputy chief and a lieutenant. So we are reorganizing the department and structuring it in a different way. That is a separate position that will come into play. And then the other position, which is an internal position, which is just going to be a move out of patrol into detective unit, is the mental health detective.
So I'm mainly interested in that mental health detective. So you don't have that position filled yet. You're waiting to get it filled, and what is it? What does it focus on?
So it focuses on people that are in crisis, being able to respond to those calls that we have with the clinician on board to help. It also looks at people that are unhoused and helping them get resources to that population in the community. We have identified that detective. We just haven't made that move yet because I'm waiting for people to either get off training so that we have enough people in patrol before we make that move. That person has been identified, though.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yes.
Commissioner Cervantes?
Yeah, as far as, I have 2 questions. One is, when are we going to restart the program for Neighborhood Watch again? That's number 1.
Yeah, that's again in August. I'm planning on whether I have the crime analyst on board or not. We're going to start kicking that program off again in August. I will send something out very shortly to see if to all the neighborhood associations leaders to see what we can do to start kicking that program back off again. So it'll happen in August. I'm looking to do a national night out in the alternative date, which is in October, because it's like a little bit like Arizona. It's a little hot here in August for that. So October is usually a much better time to do that. And I think we'll have something with the block watch captains at that point to get ready for next year so that we can actually do the full thing next year, but at least have something on board so we can start building the framework for that going forward.
The second question I have is, South Pasadena has always been known because when we deal with the unhoused people, we don't just shift them out of the town, but rather we look for resources. We help them rather than just saying, go down the road to go on to the next city, which is so remarkable. I think it is, instead of just passing the problem to someone else, just actually trying to find solutions to this problem. And I was wondering if there's anything similar to that that's going to continue being effective in this city.
Yeah, so the South Pasadena Police Department and then will continue under my tenure to lead with services. That's the main thing, to get people the help that they need first and make it, and because even if we push it down the road, the problem's going to come back. So we want to solve the problem and we want to help the people get the resources they need to be successful.
Thanks, Chief. Is the crime analyst position sworn?
No, that is a civilian position.
Okay. And you mentioned, so I'm trying to picture like an org chart, right? So there's the public and there's the chief. And then we're going to have two captains and it drops down to sergeant. We're eliminating we're consolidating, I guess was your word, the lieutenant position and the deputy chief position.
Correct.
So do we know what will happen to the people in those positions?
The deputy chief has retired, and so that's the position that is currently open now. I will wait for the second position and probably won't advertise for that till closer to the end of the year, and then we'll see who's available to participate in that at that time. Those other people aren't forced out or anything else. They're not going to lose their jobs over that or anything else. It'll be by nutrition as things play out.
Got it. Thank you. And those won't be bargaining unit positions.
No, they will not.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, one more question. Are we still going to have a K-9 unit?
So right now, we currently don't have a K-9 unit. I'm looking at bringing that back maybe sometime middle of the year as a possibility. It just depends on whether we can fill those other 3 spots. I need to wait till we get kind of fully staffed before we take another look at that. And then what kind of K-9 is going to best fit the region, the city. Those are things that we need to look at going forward. So we've kind of put that on pause.
We just talked about AEDs, and we mentioned potentially getting a grant to have them in patrol cars. Are you on board with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're in the academy. All the police officers are trained in CPR, first aid, and AEDs.
Any other questions? No. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Is this the matter with a comment? No? Okay. All right, don't go anywhere, Chief. We still got you here. Item number 4, Police Chief Derek Elmore will provide South Pasadena Police Department's evaluation of prospective ALPR vendors, automated license plate readers. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I wish I had a better evaluation to bring to you guys right now. That was my hope, to have that to you before we are slated to bring it to the city council in August. I'll let you know that we are looking at 4 different vendors. Our current vendor, which was Flock, we have downsized, as you know, since the April city council meeting. We now have 13 license plate readers in the city as opposed to the 27 that we used to have. We're also looking at systems from Motorola, Exxon, and another vendor called Plate Ranger. Those are the 4 that we are comparing and contrasting. They're all fairly similar in application. Cost is relatively in the same range, but we're looking at the security features that are different than what the ones that we have currently with Flock, and looking at how other systems are more of a opt-in as opposed to we have to exclude people from our system. Other systems are more contained and a little tighter, and so that's what we're looking at to present to City Council and hopefully get them to decide one way or another which way we go with that. I wish I would have had it because I wanted to get your guys' input to be able to take that to City Council. If we get it out before then, we may be able to present something to you before that time just to get your feedback and opinion, but we don't have it quite packaged up and ready at this point.
Okay, yeah, I know, as you know, that was an issue of great contention with the public, so I would offer to you, or maybe suggest if a special meeting of this body might be helpful to hear the feedback that we and the public have. That's certainly something that's within our ability under the code to call for.
Perfect. And yeah, that would be something that maybe we can come back to you guys before the August 19th meeting.
Yeah, we can definitely schedule a special meeting in August before August 19 when we are planning to take the issue to City Council.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else on this item?
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving on to item number 5, Fire Chief Greg Lloyd will present the South Pasadena Fire Department's monthly operations report. Chief.
Chair Olguin, there is one public
Oh.
comment regarding this item.
Regarding this item or
Yeah.
going back to ALPR?
For item number 5.
Okay, do we want to let the chief present first and then take the comment? Isn't that?
I mean, I can make the presentation, then you can listen to then you can have public comment.
Okay.
So, and this isn't item 5, right? This is 4, this is the monthly report, right?
Yeah, monthly op report.
Monthly ops report, right? Great. All right. So good evening, commissioners. And so here to share with you just our monthly call statistics, really more for April, May, and June within this, and we'll go into individually. Pretty much consistent going through that, right? A majority of our calls being medical. We did have 2 fire calls and then a couple of service calls. Our mutual aid continues to be pretty mutual, 30 into the city or 30 out of the city, 32 into the city within that. And if you want to go to the next slide. So something of note, our EMS turnout times little bit up, response times up, and we'll show you that later on. The significance of this in April is we transitioned to a new CAD system through Verdugo. They had some challenges technologically, and so that really impacted the times. We had some status changes, and everything that we do with regards to response times is all generated through CAD and is generated through the software, the graphic user interface, and all the technology that surrounds that. And so we'll go ahead and move to the next month, and that'll help kind of show that you'll see some of the differences in there. So next slide, please. Top 5 provider impressions medically, right? 36 trauma. We have 10 with a body pain, 8 unconscious, 8 overdose, and 6 respiratory. Those 36 trauma, the majority of them are falls. Falls continue to be the number one call type. And so for our provider impressions, that is what we have for April. Moving into May, next slide. So 187 calls, quite a bit more calls for service in the month of May. Calls are starting to pick up, 8 fire calls and 143 medical calls. With that, still same, we did go out of the city a little more than they came in. And so just kind of seems to be this is our highest increase in calls and responses was in this month. Next slide, please. So as you can see, our turnout or our response times have taken about a minute off of that, cutting it a little bit back to what we normally see within that once they work through the CAD issues and those technology pieces ironed out. That we're still working with First Do, which is the company that has the graphic user interface with some of the problems, challenges with response districts and things like that, but we are working through those as well. And next slide, you can see pretty consistently too, 35 trauma, so a number of falls. So we're pretty consistent in the types of calls that we run every month with regard to our medicals. Within that, as far as ratios go, those ratios seem to go up. Nothing out of the ordinary. Next slide. And into June, same thing. We're up again with a number of calls, 3 fire calls, 127 medicals. We did have quite a few more responses into the city than out. And usually those come as what we get dual calls. So a call will come in and then another call will come in on top of it, and our units won't be able to respond. Any questions on the call statistics or anything like that, response times and that before I move to some of the other stuff? Yes.
So maybe I missed it, but in the past, you used to have a graph, an Excel spreadsheet that you can see all the numbers together. Do we still have that?
We're working on that. One of the things that changed when the CAD changed and all of that was all of our access to the data. And so that's one of we've asked for that, and we've made that kind of a priority for Verdugo to be able to provide that information. And so as soon as we can get that, we will be providing into that. And actually for this, they had to kind of manually extrapolate the data, but Yeah, I'll definitely take that feedback.
Also, for the unconscious patients, I would really like to see them subcategorized into acute stroke and MI, because I think that field to door time at the hospital is really important for those of us who are clinicians,
Sure.
and especially if there's an MI going on, door to response time into the cath lab is also very important. So, as a clinician, I need that information.
Absolutely. And that's a great point. And in moving in that direction, we have participated with the county in the health data exchange and the patient follow-up, and that's going to make a lot easier. We have a great ability to extrapolate data from the time that we respond to the patient to the time that we turn them over to the hospital. The challenge is after that point, is getting that follow-up data and getting all of those things. When did they go to the cath lab? What was the outcomes and all of that? We do that very manually through our hospital coordinators, and we're hoping to streamline that process through this health data exchange that we're working with. But that requires not only participation from the response agencies, but the hospitals being willing to sign into that piece as well. And so we're working on that. But I'll take that information because we can get those provider impressions a little bit drilled down deeper within the EMS, within the PCR.
Chief, I know we only have a couple of months of the numbers to look at, so this is more of a kind of anecdotal question than statistical question. But do you notice any difference? You said the call volume is up. Is that in all contributed by it being summer, people are out, kind of kids are playing? Did you have any reason that you could point to why call volume is up?
Yeah, statistically throughout the year, we do see rises in the summertime and in those summer months, and things tend to, that we haven't seen anything statistically significant outside of what our normal response times are, as far as our call volume types in that we could attribute. But yeah, in that spring, in that early part of the year, post-Christmas, we tend to see the lower call volumes, and then they start climbing up. We are seeing about a 5% increase in call volume each year. So we are at 2,700 calls for the 2025 year. And so we anticipate getting pretty close to 3,000 calls for service. That's an important number for us because that is the number industry where you start asking about planning for additional capacity. And then you take that with in combination with response times and looking at that, whether or not you need an additional response unit or an additional station. So if you start looking at response times in hard to serve areas, then that's when you start looking at where can I place another station to be able to reduce that time of response in those areas. And that will be part of a study that we got approved through council that we brought to you back earlier in May. With that was approved in our budget, and we will be reaching out to get a consultant to do a community risk analysis, standards of coverage, and a strategic plan for the department.
And that's at 3,000. Where are we right now?
We're at 27, well, for up to year to date, or you
What are last year, or what are we on pace for?
710.
710 last year.
Yeah.
Question on mutual aid. I know we're one of the few cities that have the air unit, I think you guys call it. Is that factored in to the mutual aid numbers, or is that just the normal engine?
That's just a normal response. It would be factored in there. I can tell you that we haven't responded out of the city with the air unit within the last 3 months. So.
Any questions on those statistics? I think you have more slides, right?
I do. Yeah, I have some significant events to share within that piece, so this last piece in there. All right. So some of the significant events that we were either involved with or we got some participation of that top left. So if you're not familiar with that one, that was the Boyle Heights fire that happened in the city of Los Angeles a couple of months back. So 250,000 square foot, cold storage warehouse that contained about 85 million pounds of frozen food. Had a fire that started on the roof with the solar panels and ended up extending down into the roof and through some of the areas with that. A very difficult fire. I was fortunate enough, these pictures, the first picture I took from a distance, but the second one I went down, we did have a fair amount of odors and some smoke that had drifted into South Pasadena in the days, subsequent to the fire. So I wanted to find out what was going on. I was able to talk to the incident commander, got a tour of the entire incident. They had a very complex incident. So in the midst of a fire that they had, they were dealing with three major incidents that were taking place in the midst of fighting a fire. One of them was the offloading of 10,000 gallons of ammonia. So they had ammonia storage that was used for that. If you can imagine, that cold storage was about a 250,000 square foot igloo cooler, right? 6 inches of foam with metal, corrugated metal on either side. So it was a very challenging fire to address. In addition to that, they had 65 lithium-ion forklifts that were used inside the facility that they needed to get out of the facility. The facility was elevated for loading docks, so you couldn't just drive those forklifts off. They actually had to mechanically lift them and remove them, and they did that all in the midst of the firefight. And then the third thing that they had is that you saw they had active solar panels. And you can disconnect the solar panels at the switch, but as long as those solar panels are exposed to sun, they're generating electricity. So it caused a safety issue for the firefighters for an energized electrical problem. They went up that night, they worked with the company, disconnected those solar panels so that they weren't producing any energy. So in the midst of a firefight, they had 3 of those issues. Hats off to Chief Moore and to their crews. They did a lot of work. They had a lot of service. Verdugo did send a strike team down there to assist for the amount of overhaul and work that was being done. They brought in 8,000 GPM, 8,000 gallon per minute monitors, which is in that bottom left corner, that would squirt 8,000 gallons per minute from Texas. They're things that are used in the oil industry, and so they had a great participation with that and being able to get resources from out of state. Top right was LA County's annual wildland drill that we were able to participate in. This was a great opportunity for our crews to get live fire training, participate as part of a large incident with a number of different agencies. They had engines out there, hand crews, dozers, helicopters, and so it was a great opportunity for them to get out and participate and be able to work with our agency partners. And that bottom right is that is a house on Fremont. It was one of the structure fires that we had here recently, and so we responded to the 1100 or 1,000 block of Fremont for that. That house is over 100 years old. Ended up having an exterior fire that had drifted into the interior of that. Crews did a great job in knocking it down. This is a representative of some of the unique lots and houses that we have. So it's almost 200 feet from the street back there. So crews have to hike and pull those hose lines all the way back to the back of the house to be able to go ahead and squirt water, which is a lot different than a standard lot where the house is very close to the street within that as well. Next slide. And so we did have it, as we were talking about in 4th of July, we had Sidewalk CPR help participate within that as well in training some of our folks. There's the chief and I at the South Pass Tournament of Roses golf tournament where we sponsored a hole, and then the library, we participated with them in their summer kickoff event. And then most recently, we did put in for an Assistance to Firefighters grant for a Type 3 engine. That is an example of one right there. So you can see shorter wheelbase, a little bit tighter, designed to get up and around in the narrow hills and the streets. And so we're hoping to see if we get some word on grants for that, to council approved to apply for that grant It's a 90-10, so it's about $75,000 for the city to match to go ahead and purchase that apparatus, and we hope to be able to come back with good news on that.
That's great. Is there I know it's a lot of what ifs, but is there a potential date of entering into service? Several, I know some pieces of equipment are several years out from manufacture,
Yeah,
right?
so we haven't even been awarded it, and so we don't even know if that point, and at that point, we'll go with the bid process, and definitely as part of that bid process, we'll want to know build time. I think there definitely, we're not as restricted as we are necessarily with a Type 1 engine. There's a few more apparatus manufacturers out there that might be able to provide better build times for us.
That's awesome. That's really good news. I hope we get that grant. Please let us know if there's anything we can do to support. I think that's very much needed in the hills.
100%.
Any-
Absolutely.
Any questions for the chief? Okay, we could take public comment on that issue then.
Actually, the public comment is for the next item, item number 6. So we'll take it after Chief's presentation of the next item.
Okay, moving on then. Item number 6, Chief Lloyd again, present on South Pasadena Fire Department's fire prevention initiatives.
All right. Good evening, Commission. This presentation is here as part of a public education campaign on the initiatives and the steps that Council has approved and taken and that have either already existing or that are moving forward as part of our education of the public to our efforts to mitigate a lot of the wildfire challenges that we recognize up here in the Monterey Hills and in the Arroyo. First one is something that has been in existence, right, since 2011. It's conducted annually. It's our partnership with Los Angeles County Department of Agriculture Weights and Measures in our weed abatement program. This is a program that is available to all 88 cities in the county and is basically for privately owned parcels, vacant parcels. And so what happens, there's about 89 vacant parcels within the city of South Pasadena. They're inspected, and the owner is given the opportunity to abate them on their own, and if they don't, then the county abates them, and the cost of that abatement is placed on their tax roll. And so that's something that we've been in existence and we continue to do as part of those mitigation efforts. Next slide. So we talked about that. There's an inspection process on the unimproved and private properties, and then we always encourage them to do it on their own, but a lot of times in the county has said that there are people that they just know year after year they would just rather have the county do it. It's something that's easy and they don't have to worry about it, and so they go ahead and take those, and that helps to those properties to be free of that hazardous vegetation and create defensible space. Targeted grazing services, and so in June, the council approved an agreement with Capra Environmental Service. This is a pilot project that is used to target the high and very high fire hazard severity zones in the Monterey Hills. They're looking to be, it's about 100 acres, but it's most likely going to be less than that. What are the benefits for the goats? They're useful for reducing grasses, weed, and light brush. They're targeted in the steep hillside. And where they can do that, then we don't need to put crews on a steep hillside or have any type of mechanical vegetation movement. The goal is to reduce the flammable vegetation and the risk of wildfire and protect residential structures that are within that. You'll see if I show you, if you can go to the next slide. So there's 2 areas that we're looking at. And so this is the outside border of those areas is the border between private property and city property, and then that inside border is 100 feet in. So we're doing 100 feet in from the private property line into city property within that, and so we're doing it within that area, and then if you go to the next slide, into that area as well. So we're not going onto private property. We're going into the available public lands, and we're creating an additional 100-foot of defensible space to help protect homes in that. This is something that we brought before with council. We've listened to the public comment and have made some adjustments in there. We recognize that the goats aren't a be-all and end-all solution, and that's why it's called a targeted grazing program. We're going to be walking through this and looking at areas where it is going to be feasible and going to be beneficial. And then in addition to that, we're also going to be looking at areas where it's not going to work, and where it's not going to work, we're going to use traditional means of mechanical. This is part of something that's been done annually through the Public Works Department on a mechanical phase. And so we're looking at the pilot project of integrating the goats into this as a hybrid project in recognizing that. And there are certain areas that with that, Pasadena did recently use goats in their One Arroyo section. I went ahead and looked at them. We walked through that area. They did a good job. They did do some browsing and some girdling of trees, which has been a concern for some folks. We went by 8 weeks later, and there's already regrowth in those areas. And so those areas, are already starting to show growth back to that. But we're looking at that, on that. When that comes in and comes through, we're going to be really working with the contractor, identifying those areas, providing monitoring and feedback, and then determine whether or not this is a solution of whether or not we want to move forward with this, and then what is the frequency that we would need to move forward with that as well. Next slide. Priority tree trimming, we have been working with Fire and Public Works, or between Fire and Public Works, to look at the city rights of way and the city trees, the trees that are on city, that the city owns. The California Fire Code asks for or requires 20-foot wide open area for fire response for what we would call fire access roads. And so as those trees hang over, as you know, in the Monterey Hills, it tends to narrow that area, and it makes it difficult for response. And it also, could also potentially affect evacuation routes as well. So there's about 3,900 trees. We're going to be working with West Coast arborists and identifying those trees and executing a public education campaign, talking to residents, putting door hangers out, notifying them that we're going to be in their area, doing tree trimming along the streets, and then the road's going to be closed during that time, and then basically trying to give everybody as much notice as possible. They're not private trees. They're city trees. West Coast arborists will not cut private trees. So these are only city trees that they will be talking to. And if there is a private tree that's encroaching on that, then we will go through the fire prevention or code enforcement process to get compliance from our local folks. So the last part of this, next class, is and so we're looking at reducing ember generation and fire spread and improving emergency vehicle access, and strategically reducing fuel in areas, especially along escape routes. The last one of a part of this objective is emergency access improvements. And so we talked about Section 503 and Appendix D of the California Fire Code. 20-foot width is the minimum width for fire access roads. There's a lot of areas that are even less than that within the Monterey Hills, and it makes it, if somebody's parking along that line, it makes it almost impossible for a fire engine to get by. So that's an important piece that we're looking at, but we're also looking at, we understand that has an impact on parking. And so we're going to be working with the community and looking at areas, and if we need to look at things street by street, we're going to look at areas street by street. And so, but the biggest aspect that we're looking at within all of this is fire apparatus response times and evacuation routes. It's not, we want to be able to get into a fire, and then we want to make sure that folks can get out. And this is a big challenge that threw in there, right, is that, the Monterey Hills is in the hills, and it's in, an area that had a lot of natural vegetation at one time. And, but in 62, which I think is when they started the major development in the Altos de Monterey. We as a city chose to populate that area. We chose to put people in there, and now we're intermixing people with the habitat. And, from a fire department perspective, our priority is life safety. But we're always looking at things. We're not ignoring, the environment. We're not ignoring some of the natural, the vegetation, the natives and all of those things. But, unfortunately, the natives burn just like the non-natives burn. And, I wish there was a great solution to be able to meet all of the needs. But in these cases, we've got to prioritize life safety on those. And so with that, I'm open to answer any questions that you may have.
Thanks, Chief. I think let's take the public comment first.
Angelo Glading.
Did you get my letter that I wrote? Did you have a chance to read it? It was 30 pages long. This is important. This is extremely important. Who's running this? Did they get the letter?
Sir, this is your time to speak to us, so it's...
He was fixing the thing. 100 feet, I calculated 70 on the map that I put there, and 70 feet from the edge was already 50% of the acreage removed. 100 feet would be 70 to 80% of the acreage affected. An experiment, a pilot with permanent damage across the sweeping majority of the sensitive space. The natives do not burn like the non-natives. They burn different. They burn different. They both burn. They burn fundamentally differently. This is not an experiment. This is a barbaric mutilation and clear-cutting and ecological disaster. What is the target? The target is everything in the path. That isn't targeted grazing. Pasadena gave us a preview, and our fire chief spoke to the director, and he said that a goat girdling every stem of a mature protected shrub is perfectly fine because it will send up shoots from the base. Girdling, bark is stripped, water continues to flow up, nutrients don't flow back down. The longer the branches remain girdled on the shrub, the more stressed the root system. Pasadena is leaving the girdled branches on. They have no clue what they're doing. They still have not assessed the damage. Part 2 is just as bad. Will the fire staff be cutting limbs up 6 feet? This isn't a conifer forest. Pines naturally lift, and helping them along is perfectly fine. The sites are mostly shrubs, and shrubs don't tolerate being lifted. Even if done slowly and correctly, it should only be done on properties where it can receive supplemental irrigation and follow-up management. Has Rebecca, our city arborist, signed off on any removals? She will not take my call, and after 5 years of studying the City of Trees urban forestry system, I have never seen or heard or met her once. The tree ordinance update in December made it so that the city no longer has to abide by any rules. So now we're talking about just stumping what were protected specimens. Who is the professional staff that will be overseeing the program? That's all it says in the CEQA notice of exemption. Katrina Peguero, Rec and Parks Director of our city, has routinely ignored my basic request to manage the site correctly, allowing Parkwood to do the wrong thing, saying the city will do what the city does. Assistant City Manager Kimball told me the same thing. He told me I can sue the city if I don't like it. I'd like to invite you in the room and figure out how we deal with the fire issue, but then also not create another one. That's what our fire chief told me when I asked a question in September. He also said, what's our best practices? And that's what we want to develop, best practices. He said, they want to know what right looks like. They really need good guidance on how to do that. Yeah, we can provide circulars, but let's do clinics. If we're the City of Trees, let's educate our community on that. Education to me is always the best. No commission meetings or public hearings or conference room chats or site walks. Omari has removed every tree and shrub on his property. He has made the decision with the fire chief entirely with Sheila Rossi at WISPA meetings. The professionals I speak to are gobsmacked. A couple of neighbors have been heard because they corroborate the plans that the fire chief has. I've been castigated as a tree hugger environmental activist. I live across the street upslope. I watched Eaton burn in the background while
Sir, your
Teresa
time
burned in
is
the
up.
foreground. I've lived here for 20 years. I've been paying attention intensely. I know what I'm talking about. No one else involved does. It's that clear. This is disgusting and it must be stopped.
Thank you for your comments. We have some on Zoom as well.
Yes, we have one more public comment on Zoom. Constance Villalvazo.
Go ahead, please, Constance.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. I would just like to educate everyone present that native trees in Los Angeles County and native shrubs have been shown in studies in these kinds of riparian areas to prevent fire, not to spread it. I also would like everyone to know that over 97% of fires in California as a whole are man-made. They are usually due to arson, but sometimes negligence, as we saw in Altadena. Additionally, this plan seems very similar to Zone Zero, which was based on a deciduous forest model as we had in Paradise, that terrible fire we had up there. But Monterey Hills is a riparian and urban wildlife interface. It's not the same kind of geography. It's not the same kind of plants. And I'm rather concerned that this, according to the report, will affect 3,900 trees. Not to mention the goat grazing, which, unfortunately, goats don't care about types of plants. They'll eat everything. They'll eat it down to the root. And while, this may sound good right now in the middle of summer, when it gets to the rainy season and we're in a La Nina year, this could potentially cause mudslides. I mean, this is not, I understand, everyone's concerned about fire, but this seems like a way to increase fire risk. It takes a general, this is what fire prevention looks like in other parts of America and applies it to an area where it could actually be very bad. So I'm very concerned about that. I hope everyone on this public safety committee, really looks into the science that's particular to Los Angeles County. I am a neighbor to just the south of you. I'm an elected official. I've lived here 30 years in Monterey Hills, but on the Los Angeles side of Monterey Hills. And this concerns us because it will affect us. You may not know, but we share a wildlife corridor that supports the monarch butterfly, which is critically endangered, on the verge of extinction. You also have some keystone bobcat species that support the entire ecosystem. And the least bell vireo, which is another critically endangered bird, resides there, aside from owls, which are very rare in Los Angeles. So, and Los Angeles County, not just on our side, but on your side too. So this does not seem to be a great plan all around for anybody, for the ecosystem, for fires, for people who are going to be affected by those fires. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. We had one other hand, I believe, on Zoom. Yes.
Yes, one more hand. Yael Paredes.
Hi, Yael Pardes. Thank you for the ability to speak. I'm very concerned about this practice as well, especially in the heat of summer. Now that we need trees more than ever, we need their shade, we need their roots to hold the soil, we need them to cool the earth and to provide an understory that keeps the moisture of the ground. All of this is going to be trampled by goats and trampled by humans that are going to be cutting things. The goats, you have seen already the damage that they inflicted on the arroyo, all the landslides, all the bush that were eaten, like almost 9-10 feet high. I don't agree with the chief. Once a tree bark is exposed, it is exposed to diseases and to sunburn, and they don't grow back normally. You cannot release hundreds and hundreds of goats on an area and expect that the area will survive and will not be ecologically negatively affected. So this practice, maybe it's good with a few goats in an area where a shepherd can control them, but releasing herds of them And destabilizing sensitive hillsides is the wrong approach. I really, really urge you to hire experts, objective scientists, ecologists, biologists, arborists, not people that will say, yes, it's great, but somebody that can really tell you the truth. Because I think this is a very, very bad practice, and you don't want to be sorry for more damages and more cost that you are thinking that you will incur. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Are there any further public comments on this item?
No further public comments.
Okay, seeing none. Commissioners, Dr. G.
So as the commissioner, thank you so much for the presentation from our fire department, as well as all the passion and research that I hear from the citizens. As a citizen myself and separate from the commission, I also have studied biology. My understanding of the ecosystem is that there's the predator-prey, which we can all understand. There are a lot of coyotes in the Monterey Hills neighborhood, and they usually have their pup rearing season between March and August with a 63-day gestation period. So during this period of time, there are many, many puppies, and the parents are usually searching for prey. There are, and as was mentioned before, there is a lot of flock vulnerability. So if you don't watch these flocks, they can get eaten. The goats can get eaten. So my question is, how much does this program cost? Granted that we're only doing that stretch of hill near Hanscom, how much does this program cost? And given the public comments that we've heard, are the benefits worth it?
I'm sorry, I'm looking into the staff report that can give you the exact cost for that. I want to say that it's about, so the cost of the project for the goat grazing was $29,870 to do the 35 or so acres that were set up for within the targeted grazing program within that piece as well. And so as far as that, the contract that was granted with Capra within that piece, we've looked at the public comments have been addressed within the city, within council. They've heard the comments, the things that have come through. We've done our research and due diligence in looking at those different aspects, and we're following council's decision, and council is moving forward.
Chief, has this been cross-referred to any other commission, for example, natural resources, or are we the only ones that this is in front of?
Right now, what's in front of you today is a public education and a presentation on the prevention efforts that we have that are moving forward within that as well. So I'm not sure whether or not I haven't presented before the natural resources or anything of that. So,
Luke?
So it seems that members of the public are concerned that the goats are going to indiscriminately consume and destroy wildlife and plants. I was wondering, when humans do this work with machines, are they any more considerate of which plants are endangered, or is it just the same basically?
Idiot.
So there are pros and cons to each of the aspects. There are the areas of the Monterey Hills that are within this project are pretty steep. And so moving and putting people in those areas, right, are going to disturb the soil as well. There are also, within that piece, right, that I can tell a human, okay, cut that plant, don't cut that plant. I can't tell a goat, eat that, don't eat that, right, that they are indiscriminate. But as we have talked through in the past, is if we're not releasing goats into the area indiscriminately. That's an error in disclosure. We are looking at this a piece at a time. We've talked with the contractor in using fencing in those areas, and we may walk through an area, and if it has a sensitive habitat, and if it's, I've talked with the contractor, and the first thing I said is, look, I don't want to set you up to fail. I'm not setting anybody up to fail. So, and he was very thankful for that, because it's the idea is that I'm not going to force goats into an area. If I have an area that is overly sensitive and that's not going to, it's like, this is too much of an issue, and the contractor goes, look, I can't prevent them from going into that area, then that's going to be a mechanical area. It's something that that's when we say targeted, that's what we're talking about. We're looking at this as a section by section that we walk through. There's a lot about goat grazing that it's actually not good to let the goats go all the way throughout, because just like if you went to a buffet, you're going to go pick your favorite food, and then they're going to not eat other things. But if you restrict them to an area, then they're going to tend to eat more of a certain things within a certain extent, right? We don't let them stay for so long that they're digging everything up and they're getting everything down. It's a process, and that's why they have shepherds, they have oversight, and those things that are going through that. And so, what I can tell you with that is that we've heard things, and we have looked at all of the facts, and as we said, if there was a perfect solution, then that would be great, but there's not. I like to say that this isn't a problem to solve, it's a tension to manage, and we have to balance life safety with the environment and with all of the pieces that are in that. But in order to prioritize, we're going to do our best efforts to mitigate the life hazard and still be mindful of all of the other aspects that are involved.
All right, thank you. Sounds good. So it's like targeted. You use the goats where it's appropriate, and then you would use like humans and mechanics where it would be appropriate.
100%, yes.
Thank you.
Any other first-time speakers? I know Dr. G, second time.
So, 2 questions. I wasn't there at the city council meeting. Whoever was there, could you summarize the thoughts of the city council? And also, if anyone else in this room who lives in the Monterey Hills area could also give me an idea about what you think about this program, that would be helpful as well.
Okay.
If I may, I don't think the city council reacted very much.
I'm sorry, public comment is closed on this item. We're now just speaking from the commission.
So once again, and so they heard all of the things when it was initially brought. We initially brought it to council in May. It was approved. That we came back in June because we needed to clear up some CEQA language and all of those things. We did that also as a part of listening to the public, the concerns, and all of those things. And we heard a lot of information. The council heard a lot of information, and then at the end of the day, we said the council's decision was, we're going to move forward. We're taking a measured approach. We're monitoring the progress. We have the full stop work authority, that if things are not going the way we like to see it, if we're not getting a responsiveness, then we can stop. This is not an idea that once there's a yes, then everybody turns their back. Part of the scope of work within the contract is that city staff is going to be monitoring progress and looking at that and getting updates and making sure that we are achieving the goals that we want to achieve as laid out within the contract as well. And so I think that was basically what council had come before with that, and that it's the decision comes down to is the priority is the residents and the people that live there and their lives in the midst of the fire, of the living in a wildland urban interface.
Any other questions for the chief?
Seeing that there's still a lot of people that are concerned and might have not have voiced everything in this forum, would it be appropriate to continue speaking more about this at a future meeting, maybe revisiting it and making more recommendations to city once we as a commission have fully studied it? I don't know how my fellow commission members feel.
I think it's better to take it on at another later time. And as the chief was mentioning, to see how this thing works as is presented, because to me, I really care about the native plants and all the things that we have. However, I would hate to see this whole thing go up in flames because that is not reachable. There is no roads going there, and we're very limited on how far our water can get there. So also, we need to take some of that into consideration, although I realize there is not one solution fits all. However, our constituents, our residents should be heard. They should be heard, first of all, by the city council. The city council and the different agencies that the city council has, they should listen to them and they should be brought up to them. They should not be brushed off, and they are entitled. They're entitled to be heard, and that's when you hear the frustration of some of these folks is because they really weren't heard. They weren't given the time. So I think it's a valid point to bring it back. However, at this point, we should move on to the rest of our agenda, whatever we have, and set it for another time, schedule it, have the chief put it in the agenda for maybe 2 months down the road or whatever. But and more than anything else, the city council should take this up. This is very important.
Commissioner, I appreciate that. I thank you for your comment. I want to emphasize they've been heard. They have had their opportunity to speak. They have spoken at public comment on multiple occasions. We have spoken to them. The city council disagrees. And at the end of the day, you can be heard, and this is the where we get to. We hear, we don't agree. And at this point, where do we go from there? We have to make a decision, and we have to move forward. And like you said, we would hate to end up having a problem, a tragedy, because at the point, when we look at Eaton, when we look at these other areas, where were the concerns? Well, you knew about it, but you didn't do anything, and those kinds of things. And so I just want to be clear. I admire the passion. I admire the emotion that comes out with that. But at some point, we've gone through that process. And then the idea is then what we're asking is to trust the process and to trust that we're going to monitor and that we're going to take actions if we're exceeding the scope of work in those pieces within that. You've heard 3 people. 3. I can give you 50 that feel differently. Now, so that piece is in that. And so I'm want to express to you and to your question in that people have been heard.
Any other questions or comments for the chief? No. And Chief, just a procedural question, we're not being asked to take any action on this. This is a receive and file the report.
This is an education, and then, so the action part of this, within this as a procedure is it allows you to ask questions. And
Okay,
but
nothing
yeah,
else?
no further action.
Chief. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, everyone, for your thoughtful comments. Appreciate it. Okay, moving on to item number 7 on this evening's agenda, the meeting minutes for the Public Safety Commission special meeting that was held on May 26th, 2026. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I approve.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Gerald Green,
Okay, please call the roll.
Gerald Green,
Aye.
Vice Chair Lu,
Aye.
Commissioner Cervantes,
Aye.
Commissioner G. Motion passed.
Very good, thank you. Item number 8 on the agenda is consideration of a resolution to change future Public Safety Commission meeting dates and times. David.
Commissioners, if I may, just a short comment. Previously, we voted to have the meeting on every fourth Monday, and the calendar was clear on that. We were able to fix that date, but later on there was a conflict with another meeting that had a resolution passed before we did, so we had to kind of change it. And I remember that you mentioned that the second best option is every fourth Wednesday, which there is an availability at 5:30 every fourth Wednesday of every other month. The next one would be September 23rd. So at this point, that's probably the best option, considering commissioners' comments previously on the day of the week and the time of the day that is convenient for them. But I am happy to provide the calendar availability again. If you guys want to explore more options, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you, David. So just to be clear, I'm sorry, just one sec. Because one of my questions or one of my points that I was going to raise was why we got bumped. And the reason, which you just explained, was because another commission passed their resolution before us.
Yeah, that meeting was there technically way before ours, but it wasn't reflected on the calendar. That's why I was not able to see it, and that's why I brought that option to the commission. But later on, it was revealed to me that it was a technical error, that it wasn't on the calendar, but actually on the resolution, it was passed way before our resolution.
Got it. Thank you. So what's being proposed right now for everyone's information is the last Wednesday of the month at 5:30.
Wednesday?
That's what's on the table right now, the last Wednesday of the month.
Is that the only option?
Not the only option, no. But that's from our last discussion, that was the second best option from the commissioners. I recorded it. The first best option was every fourth Monday, but since it's not possible, the second best option was every fourth Wednesday at 5:30.
Didn't we have the Tuesday too? At 4:30?
At 4:30?
Yeah.
I can't tell you from the top of my head right now, but I can explore more days and more options if you guys want me to. But the reason I drafted a resolution and put Wednesday instead of Monday is because almost everyone from the last meeting seemed to agree that Wednesday is the second best option.
Yeah, I'll hear you guys' or y'all's thoughts on that. I unfortunately won't be able to support that. I'd have a conflict the last Wednesday of every month. That's been a year's long standing meeting. I do see the last Tuesday, as you mentioned, but I would suggest to allow for people to get out of work, those of us on the commission as well as the public, I would suggest not the 4:30 time, but something after 5:30 to allow people to commute here. So my proposal, it's not a motion yet, just for discussion purposes, would be the last Tuesday of the month at 5:30 or 6, somewhere around there.
I can definitely look into that option. From right now, I don't have the calendar in front of me, but I will have to, because of the last experience, I will have to double check and make sure that there are no hidden meetings for that day. That can be done absolutely, and I can present it to for our next meeting. The only issue is that we have to come up with the date for our next meeting. So right now, if we, let's say, preliminarily go with the fourth Wednesday, the next meeting would be on September 23rd at 5:30. And if the commission is okay with that date and time, I can explore the dates and bring a resolution with every fourth Tuesday as the meeting date, regular meeting date.
The only thing is if the chair cannot make it on Wednesday at 5:30, there's no point in us voting for it. We need the chair to be there present.
Well, if you have a quorum without me,
Yeah, if we do end up deciding on a day, let's say it's Tuesday and it's completely available, and I bring a resolution on the 23rd of September, and it's the motion passes, then we can change the date to Tuesdays, and chair will be able to attend the following meeting.
I'm sorry, I just, before we get too far into this, I am looking at this schedule, and in the fourth Tuesday, there's a 6:30 meeting, so that would not work for us. We need to.
Which month is it?
The fourth Tuesday, there's a 6:30 natural resources.
Oh.
Maybe, and again, I don't want to complicate things, but if we push back 5:30, maybe to 6, that might be enough time. But I'm only one person, so any other thoughts?
So you're available for Wednesday if it's the 6th or later?
Yeah, the fourth Wednesday, yes.
Yes, that works.
At what time?
6 o'clock.
6?
Would that be fair to our chiefs?
Would the chief-
Okay, is that anyone making a motion on that?
Yeah, I make a motion, change the time to 4th Wednesday, 6 o'clock.
Okay, sounds good. So the resolution that I brought forward is a little different, but I can definitely change the next meeting's time, and I'll bring an official resolution to change it for Wednesdays 6 o'clock for our next meeting, so that we can officially cement that date and time.
Procedurally, I think we should probably take the vote to have the next meeting be the last Wednesday at 6 o'clock, and then at that time, we can hear the resolution.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So the maker of the motion, Commissioner Liu, is your motion to have the next regular scheduled meeting the last Wednesday of the month at 6 p.m., at which point we will vote on a resolution making that time permanent. Is that your motion?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
Yes.
Okay, please call the roll.
Chair Ogui?
Aye.
Vice Chair Liu?
Aye.
Commissioner G?
Aye.
Commissioner Cervantes?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay, good. That has been a
Excuse me, I noticed something missing here. There is nowhere where I see where the commissioners have any comments regards what's going on. And this has been deleted, which means actually the way I feel is like, they make me feel like I really don't matter what is happening here, what our opinion or what's going on here matters at all. They don't want to hear what we have to say. And that's not right.
well, Commissioner.
I don't see any commissioner's comments anywhere, and we used to have it before. Whoever deleted was wrong.
Yeah, Commissioner, if I'll point you to, and I don't create these agendas, staff does a really good job at creating these, but on my agenda, I see item 11 is commissioner comments. So we're
I don't
not,
have it here.
we're not quite there yet.
Nothing here. That's old version. Yeah, this old version. So it's not there. So I like to have commissioner comments here today. I mean, I made a trip here.
Yeah,
I want to have something to say.
okay. So like I said, I have that as item 11 on my agenda. So if we can just get to a couple other items before, and then the floor will be yours. Okay, so we were able to set the next meeting. Thank you all for doing that. That was a back and forth process that took a bit, but glad we got to a resolution on there. So moving on then, my numbering's a little off here, but I think we're on 9 now, right? Item 9, City Council
Yes, correct.
Liaison Communications. Do we have the Mayor Pro Tem in attendance on Zoom?
No, I don't see him on Zoom.
No.
No.
Okay. Then item 10, Staff Liaison Communications. Chief Elmore, Chief Lloyd, anything for you to report?
Yeah, the only thing that we have to report out is that we're looking to do a public safety open house in October. That we're looking to bring the community in to let them know and see what it is that we're doing and what's going on with public safety. It's probably going to be a little broader this year. We want to bring in some of the other city departments and let them showcase what it is that they do and how they can interact with the public as well. But that's being spearheaded by both the fire department and the police department.
Do we have a date and time for that?
The date is going to be October 17th from
Oh, man,
10 to 2.
that's my birthday.
That's why we're doing it. It's a celebration of your birthday.
I also have a friend's wedding that day, so
Oh, okay. So yeah, so it'd be October 17th. The only other comment I have is that we have coffee. Our first coffee with the cops since I've been here will be at Two E's on August 19th from 9 to 11.
I'm glad you didn't say Starbucks because their union is on strike, so
Oh, are they?
we cannot support that.
Oh,
Okay, thank you.
all right. Thank you.
Just to add on to Chief Elmore's statement regarding the public safety, we're doing our best to align that with the launch of an emergency preparedness website. That's going to be a website that'll be a subdomain of the city's website that will specifically be geared towards emergency preparedness, alert and warning, updates for our folks. And so we're looking at bringing all of that down to really have a single place, single stop shop for everything emergency preparedness. We have a $25,000 emergency preparedness grant that we got from the California Fire Foundation that we'll be using to fund the construction of that website, as well as banners. And so everything pointing toward that being launched or announced at that public safety fair on October 17th. And then we'll just add to, fires have been a little bit busy lately. We had another fire last week last Saturday over on Glendon Way. And so it was the folks did a great job. It was a rear dwelling unit that had been there, and with the ADUs and everything that's going on, everything's so close together that fire directly impacted two other structures that were close by, but the crews were able to kind of limit it from going any further than that. So all of those things that have just kind of been picking up. No.
Chief, our ADUs held to the same building code, fire code standards
Yeah.
as main
Well,
residences?
Yeah, there are a few exceptions within the ADUs with regard to setbacks and those types of things, but the ADU and a lot of the housing legislation and I can just talk about just very on a high level overview is the state legislation is very much focused towards ministerial approval of ADUs and just really put in, and really we can look at things like access issues. One of the things that we're doing is really holding those residents towards the distance from the street. If it's over 150 feet, that's the requirement that the fire code gives. And so any unit that's over 150 feet from the street, we're requiring sprinklers in that. And that helps buy us the time to be able to span that extra distance to get to the back of that lot.
Thank you, Chief.
Yep.
Okay, item number 11, Commissioner Communications. Commissioner Cervantes?
Yes, I had several questions. Several people have asked me, what about the water mains in the city? You know, this is subject of conversation. We know what has happened in a couple of places where the water mains are so old, and I think ours is quite old. I know we've been doing some serious redoing of that, but still it's in the back of the minds of the people, the residents, and how safe are we as far as that with this will not break on us and flood everywhere, everything.
That's a great question, Commissioner. I would recommend that we will invite our water department to give you a comprehensive kind of understanding of where we're at from a water perspective and then what we're doing moving forward. Would that be amenable? We can bring them in and schedule them for a future meeting to give you more comprehensive understanding of that. Is that something that you would like?
Yeah. As long as we get answers, that probably be right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
We'll get that agenda for you.
Okay. Also, this is a question here. I live in in an area where it's not a through street, but in the past 2 years, there's been robberies there during the daytime. Today, there was one at 12:45 with cameras going and everything going on. They did not go into the houses. They robbed the workers. When the first one was done, they stole the entire truck, electrical truck that was working, doing some upgrades on some houses, and the whole thing just disappeared. And the one today, they went in, and these people, these gardeners, they had everything inside metal. They had a metal crate in there, but they came with things to cut it. And they cut the chain, they cut the lock, plain daytime. We have the Ring cameras that goes toward the street, and so everybody else did. And what we had is like, true, we did get a license plate of the car that did this. However, the car was abandoned. It had provisional license numbers on it, and it was abandoned. So this, for us, makes us feel extremely unsafe. It is not something I realize people think because of the property prices in South Pasadena, real estate is so high. I guess they assume everybody has tons of money, but I don't know how long it will be before they start breaking into houses as well. And this is in the middle of the day when everybody is looking.
I didn't hear a question. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't hear a question.
Oh, Okay, I want to repeat it.
No, I heard the comment, but I didn't hear what's your question, sir?
The question is, what can we do for us to feel safer? What can we do to feel that more protected? I know that when we called the police, they were there within 5 minutes. They were there right away, but the thieves were already gone by then.
Yeah, thank you for that question. So I believe that the best thing to do, and one of the things that I want to incorporate, because public safety is just that, public safety, is getting that block watch associations going in the different areas, being able to, when people see something right away, so before something happens, we get that call. So hopefully we'll be able to catch people in the act, and hopefully the word gets out more that, hey, this, South Pasadena is not the place you want to go do that, because everybody's watching and everybody's calling the police when appropriate to bring us there to help prevent those things. And hopefully, with this case, they'll be able to, the detectives will be able to actually take it further. I know that the car was abandoned, but maybe there's other evidence that was left, and hopefully we'll be able to catch those people as well.
Thank you.
Any other commissioner comments? No? Dr.
I'll
G?
just be brief. So I think we need to bring our marketing person back, whoever was doing publicity for us, so that we can talk to her about marketing for the American Red Cross, the emergency preparedness website. I would love to, number two, I would love to see revisit the GIS, which hasn't been revisited since 3 years ago. So that was number two. And then number three, we are planning to do a strategic analysis, but in May of 2023, we did a police department organizational assessment with the consulting company named Raftelis. So I don't know if we've looked at that again and made sure that we've covered all of their recommendations.
Right. So I'll take that last question first. So that the Raftelis organizational assessment was done for the police department, and that was just so that there was money set aside for the fire department to do the organizational assessment, and it kind of came around in that time when I came on in 2024. In speaking with the city manager at the time, Sean Joyce, the best decision was, let me get here for a year. Let me kind of get my own gauge of what was taking place, and then decide where we wanted to go. And so after that time, when the city manager came on, and then that was when we came together and made the recommendation that a community risk analysis, standards of coverage, and strategic plan would be the best steps moving forward, because it does two things. One, it takes a current look at where we're at, and then our potential risks, and then it takes a current look at what we can do to meet those with our standards of coverage, and then lay a plan out moving forward on how we're going to address those issues. And so kind of the extension of that same idea that happened in 2023, we're moving on to that. The next part of that too, within those three elements, is that there are the basic framework for an accreditation. And so as we want to pursue accreditation through the International Fire Service Accreditation organization, the three key elements to that are a community risk analysis, a standards of coverage, and a strategic plan. So just in a nutshell, the accreditation is 243 KPIs that span all of the aspects of the fire service. And so it's a very extensive, it usually takes a department about 2 years to go through that process. But it is a nationally recognized kind of standard of what right looks like within that. And so then the other part, we can certainly bring Jennifer Colby, our public affairs manager. We are meeting regularly as staff, as a group, in the planning and the implementation of that public safety fair. with the emergency preparedness website. Sound the Alarm will be present at that. That's where they're going to be conducting their signups for the Sound the Alarm. So they'll do the signups and then we'll schedule those throughout. But certainly can do that piece. I believe it was earlier this year, Tim Schofield came out, gave a presentation on IT, and one of those aspects of IT was the GIS. We have now since migrated to South Pasadena, having their own GIS and working through those pieces, but absolutely can bring him back, give an update on what those things are, because you're absolutely right. It's a very vital piece of that. GIS integrates with everything that we're doing, from Pulse Point into our CAD system, into Genesis, our evacuation, zones, as well as the new app that's coming out called Aware California, and where they're looking at layering all of those things so you can get an idea on what is happening around you, just for that situational awareness piece, if people so choose to have it. Did I miss one? Okay, cool.
Commissioner Liu?
Yeah, City Council approved the ballot measure to issue a bond to repair the street. Can we get more information about this bond next time?
Yeah, the city, we can certainly have that come through. Maybe I'll talk to Mayor Pro Tem and talk to that, but we could, even with absent of that, we can certainly have Public Works come in for the bond measure that council has approved to pursue. I want to say $80 million. It's an $80 million bond measure. They actually have looked at all of the streets. In fact, yeah, I do. So this is, we'll make sure we can get this piece out, but this is kind of a map of basically that they've addressed the streets and the years that they want to basically attack, or look at that, the conditions of the streets. What do the conditions mean there? I've just in listening, have gotten a whole education on the condition of the street and the repair of the street based on its condition. The worse the grade, the more expensive it is exponentially to fix it. And so they definitely put a plan together for that bond measure. I'm sure that they will be reaching out. I know that they're working with an ad hoc committee or a subcommittee that's helping to put that piece together. But we'll definitely relay that information to have a presentation.
Thank you.
Any other commissioner comments? I have one for you, Chief Elmore, question, or maybe just if you could refresh our memory on the protocols of, sorry, I just drew a blank. The protocols of how to report blocking a fire hydrant or parking in the red. Is that, I know, and I'll give you a little bit just really quick of a backstory. In the Monterey Hills, there's a lot of recent development, a lot of construction. We have construction workers and their equipment blocking fire hydrants, parking in the red. I don't know the overlap between code enforcement versus parking enforcement versus traffic enforcement. Can you just refresh our memory on what the chain of command is there and who do we go to?
Yeah, on any of those parking issues, if it's not an emergency, you can call our non-emergency line, and they'll get that parking information out to our parking enforcement team, which is part of, they have radios and are part of our dispatch. So you can call the non-emergency police line to get that information out to them, and they'll respond to that. If there is an emergency and there's a fire or something there, the fire department's very good about making sure that people probably don't do that again. As I've seen it before in the past, they usually go through the windows to get their fire hoses where they need to go. But if it's a non-emergency or parking situation that's ongoing, you can definitely call the non-emergency line, report that information to us, and then we'll get someone out there. And if it's something, a red flag area that's happening all the time, let them know that so that we can stay on top of it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's something that I've done personally. I have called the non-emergency line, but I was told that they wouldn't get to it till the evening, and I told them, well, they're going to be gone because they're working on the house. So that I'll just try again.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right to me. So yeah, I will look into that for you.
Yeah, this was a while ago. But you mentioned fire, so just because this was before your tenure, but and Chief, I don't know if you remember this or Chief Dunn either, but there was an instance in the Monterey Hills where I think it was a mutual aid call with Alhambra Fire, and there was it was a medical call, not a fire call, but the Alhambra engine could not get through because of a construction apparatus piece of equipment blocking the street, which also happened to be blocking the hydrant, which they didn't need at the time, thankfully, because it was a medical call, but it was a trailer that was not hooked to a truck. So you just saw these 10 construction workers run out and try to lift the trailer to let the engine through, but it's continuing to happen as there's more and more development in the Monterey Hills area. So just something to put on your radar, and we'll alert our contacts of the proper protocols of calling the non-emergency line.
And I'll try to increase the parking patrols in that area to hopefully educate people on where to park.
Just let me know when you're doing that, so I'd be sure to park in my garage. Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, seeing no further comment, I will adjourn this evening's regular meeting of the Public Safety Commission at 7:31 p.m. Our next meeting will take place Wednesday, September 23rd, 2026 at 6 p.m. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. We are adjourned.